What up, Bulls Nation? Peck here. We got a live CHGO Bulls pod coming up for y'all right around the corner. The Bulls season ended last night. Today, exit interviews from Arturas Karnisovas and some of the players. We're going to break down everything we heard from AK about his vision for this team's future. Next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into CHGO Bulls podcast, coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. CHGO Bulls presented by Bet365. Download Bet365 app. Use promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That is Big Day. Bam. BAWL Sports. That is four-time NBA champion Will Perdue. Will_Perdue 32. The one and only Willie Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed. Will_Gottlieb, and Queen of the Controls, KDW. What up, Katie? She doesn't have a mic because there are four of us. Everybody in the house to help us break down this AK press conference. How's everybody feeling after last night? Harsh result for Bulls fans hoping for maybe a little playoff magic, but here we are. We face the day all the same.
Wow. That was very poetic and nice.
Thank you.
The Burks are out, so I know how you're feeling.
Boom! Off-season mode, and it's 60 degrees outside.
Good. Again, I'm here for you today, sir.
Yeah, Matt, for the people that weren't able to watch the game with you last night, can you just give us a brief overview of how you're feeling today?
I'm feeling really good today.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's turning over a new leaf. When we get to this point in the season, as Bulls fans the last few years, I feel like I have come up for air after drowning for 6 months. That's what Oxygen. This mediocre franchise makes me feel like as a Bulls fan. So right. It's like it's a big inhale. So let's share when the final horn went last night, and I've been in a great mood all day today.
Let's share with him.
It's about to come when I talk about what AK had to say today.
What's your favorite song?
That's an impossible question. I have like a million favorite songs.
What's one of your favorites? Like when it comes on, you start bopping your head.
Pressure Drop by Toots and the Maytals.
Can't say I've ever heard of it.
His face.
Can you give me another one? One that I may have heard of.
Blue Sky, Allman Brothers.
Okay. Ooh. So we were talking last night that Peck was going to be the guy on the Kennedy in the right lane with the dome light on the inside so everybody can see him. All the windows down, music blasting, just bebopping on the way home. And the car's just kind of gliding and the wheels aren't even touching the ground because, he's like, this shit is over.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And you can tell by his atmosphere today. So you know what today reminds me of?
What's that?
So Johnny Bach, and I need some help with this because even to this point, I still don't quite understand it, but I think I get it. Johnny Bach had a saying that we all used to laugh at. The sun shines on both sides of a cat's ass.
What?
I got nothing for you on that one.
Exactly.
Are you comparing me to a cat's behind?
I'm sure some of our viewers are.
At least one side of a cat's ass.
Look, and I am perfectly aware that some Bulls fans are really sad today.
Yeah, but I get it. But what my thought is that basically what'll make you laugh will make you cry.
Okay.
Sure.
From that. And so right now you're kind of laughing because the pain is over.
Yes.
For the moment.
Yes.
And others are crying because of the excitement they had throughout the season.
Correct. Yeah.
But I will say this, okay? And I don't want to get anybody's panties in a wad. But regardless if you like Matt or not, regardless of, his approach, how he, throws things out there, he was pretty spot on with his assessment from start to finish. I know a lot of people think he's being negative. I know a lot of people think that he's, just picking at a scab. But at the end of the day, it's, listen, I've told a lot of people, and I know we're off the rails already. But one of the reasons why I wanted to come work here.
We got a whole off season.
Yeah, but one of the reasons why I wanted to come work here was because I learned the hard way and learned to respect you guys, or was spending time with you in the green room when you were at NBC Sports Chicago, that just because you didn't play the game doesn't mean you don't understand the nuances. Now, are there some things about it that you just can't understand because you didn't play, but it doesn't mean you don't know?
Sure.
So you guys, especially you, Dave, you guys do a pretty good job of prefacing something before you say it in regards to that, because you do want to know. But I think that, you probably, this show as a whole, even before I came on board, probably doesn't get the respect it deserves because of the knowledge that you guys share. But I think that the more and more people watch, the more and more intelligent in basketball IQ they realize that you guys actually have.
I mean, this has always been one of my favorite parts about being a Bulls fan. Sometimes it bugs me when people don't agree with me, because I'm trying to help you. I think I'm right and you're a little lost in the woods right now. But it is always a good thing to have difference of opinion among a fan base, because every opinion has unquestionable passion behind it. And that's what sports fandom is, whether it's being a Bulls fan or otherwise. Which is why I think a lot of Bulls fans watched AK's presser today and had some questions. So let's break it down, because I've been in a good mood today.
Exhale,
for the most part. but I did also listen to AK talk about his vision for this team today. So how good could my mood really be? With that, let's get to what's brewing.
Well, how many beers have you had?
At Sam Adams American Light.
Oh, I see.
That's right. Crack open a Sam Adams American Light, and then another, and of course, do so responsibly. Available at your local Chicago retailers. Guys, what was brewing at 10 a.m. Central Time this morning was the latest Arturas Karnisovas word salad. I will say, however, and we're going to play a couple of clips and kind of go through what he had to say in almost like a chronological order, first with his opening statement and then answering some questions from Goat and his fellow beat members. I will give AK credit on this. He's had some meandering opening statements before when holding press conferences. I don't know if it was his plan or he was advised by somebody in his inner circle to do this, but he sat down and said, we had 4 goals this season, and here they were, and I think we accomplished them. And it was, whether or not you agree with that being a good thing, it was, his thoughts were organized. He started with some organized thoughts. Katie, you want to play that opening statement, that clip of it, please? Then we'll react to it.
I want to go back to last year, this time, sitting in front of you and talking about making changes and making difficult decisions. And we had a bunch of them. We obviously traded Alex DeMar, and at trade deadline we moved Zach. And all those changes were basically in order to accomplish 4 goals. And number 1 was to define our style of play, to change our shooting profile. And from the first day in preseason, I think we put emphasis on that, and the guys were able to sustain it through the year. And they've done a great job. Second goal was to retain our 2025 first and picks moving forward. I think we accomplished that. Third goal was how we're going to build this, roster, and I think we, tried to minimize our timeline to be in transition, in the first year of transition. So we targeted young players with experience, and I think a lot of our moves represented that. And the fourth is basically what we need always to do is to focus on internal development of our players. And a lot of players on this roster took a step forward this year. And obviously, that's a progress.
Okay, so there's
That's a bingo.
Bulls VP AK talking earlier today about the 4 goals he laid out after a year ago and moving forward from a year ago, making those changes to the roster of Caruso, DeMar, and Zach. Define our style of play with a sub goal of making that include changing their shooting profile. Check. Number 4, internal development. I can get behind a little bit. Partial check. Numbers 2 and 3 is where he loses me. It was a goal to get our 2025 pick back and therefore control all of our picks moving forward. Yes, you accomplished that. Some Bulls fans would say you could have gone about that different ways. Number 3 is real fuzzy to me because he was talking about defining how we build our roster, minimizing the transition timeline of where we're going right now versus where we were, and a part of that being targeting young players with experience. To me, number 3 is like, why does that matter?
Why is that a goal? Yeah.
Why is that a goal?
The goal, I mean, not in any point of this do I see win.
Hey!
And that definitely was a goal. And to act like it wasn't, like I was like, bro, you wanted to win. You tried to win. To make the play-in was an absolute goal for the team. You literally tanked a game to do this. So that is a goal. I thought that was a layup, you know what I mean, right there. That's why I'm mentioning it, because I thought it was a layup and an easy one. Like, you know, we wanted to get into the play-in. We liked our guys. We liked how they were playing. And we said, okay, we're going to go for it. You know, let's go ahead and do the play-in. No, not part of that. For me, he lost me on internal development. That's where he lost me on that one, because you can't do both. Like, you can't be internal developing and winning. And so watching the guys develop and grow was more so because of the trade of Zach and him not being there. So when he's out the way, then is it really development when it's just a month in March when guys are hot and doing their thing? Or I look at development as far as like a whole season. Now, you can look at Modest and say that for sure. Mm-hmm. You can say, you know, he developed, you know what I mean? And I thought his development should have been faster, but that's neither here nor there. But you can definitely say, you know, he developed. You could definitely point out Julian Phillips, his development and things like that. If you want to you can point out Dalen Terry and his shot profile and things like that. Those things got better. But for me, that's the goal when he came was win. Like, it was about winning. And somewhere along the line, like, that kind of got lost. And so we're in this new kind of style of we're rebuilding. We're a young team. You know, we're doing those things, you know, like that. So those things changed. And that's where I kind of got lost. And it kind of got lost in the murky waters of mediocrity. And I was just confused.
Are you guys confused about why those were the goals or that they were the goals? Because to me, the goals themselves are pretty clear and self-explanatory. And I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with any of them. I think you can agree or disagree with the approach of the rebuild. And I think, to your point, Matt, specifically the one where you're talking about turning over the roster quickly, basically, by bringing in young players with experience, that comes as an alternative to tanking and building through the lottery and through the draft, right? If you go out and trade for players that are young that you want to build with, that you know their track record, you know who they are and what they can do, but still maybe think they have room to grow, that can expedite the process of acquiring those players as opposed to spending an entire year losing games, hoping for lottery luck, and going about it that way. We can agree or disagree with that approach, but I mean, to me, it makes sense as a plan. And I don't know. I mean, to me, like, I'm probably more partial to the draft-oriented version of it, where you are getting the lottery picks and not bringing in players that you know, yes, they have strengths, but you also know what their flaws are. But to the point of player development, like, to me in the second half, it was a part of the season. It wasn't the whole sample. There was unquestioned growth from Giddey and from Kobe. And whether the Bulls tanked this year and got Cooper Flagg or not, they needed that. They needed growth from Kobe and Giddey, and they got it. So I think all else being equal, like that was an accomplishment. I think there's probably more things that they needed to do and accomplish moving forward and even throughout the course of this season. But those 4 things that he laid out, I mean, he definitely accomplished all 4 of those, I thought.
Yeah. We got to take our first break here in a second, but just if it's like kind of what Dave was saying, are these goals or are these just like parts of your philosophy? Because that, like, what are you accomplishing? Are you just telling us how you like to go about things? That's not the same thing as setting a goal and achieving it. Like,
yeah, it's just the way in which he was going about transitioning the roster.
Right.
And I think the overarching thing for me was that they are still in the process of doing that.
Yeah, I think anyone would be foolish to disagree with them reaching any sort of conclusion or check everything off the list at this point. And AK did acknowledge that himself. All right, we'll pick it back up on the other side. Hit the like button while we're sharing a couple of ads. Make sure you also subscribe to that CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
Sunnyside.
Hello.
Cannabis Dispensary. Get your chill on. I just make that up. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality hydroponics in the city. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer, spring, winter, and your fall. Sunnyside has something for them all. It's your one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, shout out Wrigleyville and River North, all the way out to the suburbs, Champaign and South Beloit. Hello. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance on brands that we know that you love, like Good News, this guy, and Mindy's. And if you're a pro, like this guy, we've got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added daily. That's awesome. We know that you'll love the Cresco. We know that you'll love the FloraCal because they come with that incredible quality and consistent products that you can expect from Sunnyside. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 1, 2, 3 online purchases. Enter that promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day. Only for 21 and over or Illinois Med card holders.
Today's show also brought to you by Potawatomi Casino and Hotel in Milwaukee. The Cubs are heading to Milwaukee, and you could be too. Kick off your summer right with the CHGO Cubs crew. Cody, Luke, and Corey taking the party north of the border for a little border battle with them Brewers. It's all going down Friday, May 3rd at Potawatomi Casino and Hotel in Milwaukee. Here's what you get if you sign up for this awesome CHGO event. An exclusive pregame party in the private room at the casino, a live CHGO Cubs show, hanging out with the crew, good vibes, talking baseball, a buffet lunch, plus a drink ticket to get the good times rolling, and another bonus, if you are 21 years of age or older, you'll get $100 in casino play with a Potawatomi rewards card. I mean, baseball, brews, bets, guys,
triple B's.
Hello. Grab a ticket to the game and sit with that CHGO Cubs crew in the lower outfield on the Cubs side of things, of course. Make it a weekend. And you can add a one-night hotel stay at that Potawatomi Hotel and Casino for Saturday night following that game. Tickets are available, as well as more information, at allchgo.com/event. Again, that's allchgo.com/event. These will go fast, so do not sleep on it. Grab yours now. All right, rolling along. This AK stuff about how he wants to build and the young players with experience. I'm curious what you think about that, Perdue, because even within this roster, and Goat, I agree. Like, we saw growth from Kobe. We saw growth from Giddey. They targeted Giddey because he was, in AK's flowery eyes, a young player with experience. But it's like, you could also make the argument that Miles Buzelis, who was a one-and-done G League player last year and was not all that impressive in the G League last year, comes in, when he finally gets minutes, he looks like a more productive player towards winning basketball than some of his veteran teammates who are, yes, also young, but have more, quote-unquote, experience in the NBA than Modest does. And when I say that, I'm referencing guys like Patrick Williams or Julian Phillips or Dalen Terry. Like, so what do you make of this AK obsession with, like, the young guys with experience?
It's all right, let me
Breathe on them, Will.
I'm trying to make sure I word this correctly because I could go all over the place and it turns into a word salad.
That's for AK.
A badass salad, according to you.
How dare you step on AK's toes?
So when you look at this team as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
you can identify that there are certain levels of talent on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the point that Joe Cali makes about you need that guy,
Mm-hmm.
this team at the current moment doesn't necessarily have that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, remember, let's go back to Sunday's game, post game, and Cali asked the question about asking Billy about that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was last night's game. Maybe it was about after last night's game.
I think it was because he was referencing Tyler Hero.
Right.
Yeah.
About that guy. And, you know, Katie, do we have that clip? Can we use that here?
Let's knock it out.
You guys have built this team. There's no all-star. There's guys that potentially could be all-stars, but potential is, that's just hope. Miami has an all-star and Hero. The all-star came to play in a game like this. Until you guys get to that level, don't you have one hand tied behind your back until this organization can figure out how do we get that all-star, how do we get that dude?
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, one of the things I think has changed a little bit over the course of the NBA was it was quote unquote you have to have 3 guys. Right. But I think what's happened now is because of the pace of the game and the speed of the game, sometimes having 3 guys like that financially doesn't allow you to kind of build out your team.
Right.
To your point, absolutely. You look at any great team, they have a guy that's really, really elite. You know what I mean? And you can go, and I mean, and a lot of times it's, in the backcourt. Brunson's obviously been great in New York. Shea's been great in Oklahoma City. Van Fleet's really helped. You can go, Curry, you can kind of go down the list. And I'm not saying he needs to be a backcourt player, but, I think Kobe made a really, really good jump wherever he gets to. I don't know. Josh made a good jump as well. But to your point, the guys that you're talking about, that is. And I'm sure those will be all things that the front office will take a look at as they go into the draft and into, free agency and all those things. So I don't disagree with you because that's kind of been the case. I just think what's changed maybe is it used to be the number of guys you needed. But, I think now, you have to kind of build out a whole entire team. But clearly you need a really, really good player. But I was encouraged to see the jump that Kobe and Josh made, and the jump that Modest made. Are they there, right now? No, but certainly Kobe's inching closer and closer to that, in my opinion, with the way he's played.
You buying that?
Yeah, I do. Now, here's the thing. I agree with what he says. I was always part of the you need 3 guys camp for a long time. Now, that's because that's what I experienced on 2 different teams.
Mm-hmm.
But as the game started to transform, I think Billy is talking the truth, and you don't necessarily need 3 guys anymore. What you do need, though, at a minimum, okay, is 1 elite player.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm saying elite, I mean a guy like, a Steph Curry,
SGA.
a LeBron James, an SGA.
Superstar player.
A superstar, not just a star, not just an all-star, a superstar. Boston has 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rarity, right? You could say, Milwaukee has 1.5.
Sure.
Dame is supposed to be
Bottom
playing.
line, you need at least one.
You need at least
no
one.
NBA champions existed.
And then
without
after
one.
that one, you need 2 all-stars. And I don't mean a guy that makes it once every 3 years. I mean a guy that makes it every year, right? Hey, that guy's an all-star. That guy's an all-star. Not, that guy's been an all-star before. Mm-hmm. All right? So I think Kobe is that guy that we're asking a lot of him now because what we have seen is consistent jumps every year. Okay? So if you ask me what his level is on a scale, and let's just say for this discussion, a 10 is an all-star. Mm-hmm. All right? Now, when you talk about the elite guys, they're like a 12 or a 13 on a 1 to 10 scale. Mm-hmm. Kobe's probably like a 7, meaning he shows these glimpses where he hits these 3, 4, 5, 6 week periods where you're like, that's an all-star. Mm-hmm. But he can't maintain it. Okay? And it's not so much that he can't maintain it, but also your opponents start to scheme for you as an individual.
Sure.
Okay? So what we need to see from Kobe now is him taking that next step. But now that next step that we want him to take, this is like not steps on a stair. You're talking about like 2 flights.
Right.
Okay. And we don't know if that's possible or not, because now that's huge. We're not talking about a step. We're talking about a leap.
Yeah.
So if he can't do it, that means we either have to draft somebody that can or trade for somebody that can.
Right. And I think like next year, AK express optimism in the growth we saw from Kobe and Josh. They could continue to get better. And then he also mentioned their upcoming financial flexibility in the summer of 26, maybe in referencing adding a star piece to them.
Now, let me take it to the next level, okay? The next guy on that list, obviously, is Josh Giddey, okay? Now, and I've told everybody since day one that I love this guy's basketball IQ.
Savant is what you said.
Yes,
Sure.
but as I've now watched him play, I think he's proved me right. But now the thing about him that has to change, and I love to hear him talk about it today, about he came in and just tried to fit in. He was too concerned about other people's feelings, other people's egos, right? Instead of playing his game. Because Callie asked him, I think it was Callie that asked him, was it Callie that said, are you the guy that we saw at the first part of the season, or are you the guy the last half of the season? He goes, well, I'm the last half of the season. And the reason why is I just started to go out there and I just played the game. Okay? But that being said, he now has to transform himself into an asshole. Okay? And what I mean by that is he doesn't technically need to become an asshole, but when he steps on that floor, he doesn't care what you think, what you think. He's playing to win, and you either follow or get the hell out of the way.
That's simple.
I think that he's trying to be too nice. And here's the thing. A lot of guys just don't have that in them because it's just not in their personality. It's not in their DNA. Okay? Because this now isn't about talent. It's not about skill. It's now about the ability to transform himself, you know, to basically become, as you guys like to say, Biff, right? And be that guy that when the game starts, you're like, God, I don't like that guy, but we need that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe some of that will come when he signs his new contract. Because when he arrived, Zach was the top dog in his contract.
Right.
Kobe emerged as a more vocal leader this season, and maybe that remains the case so long as Josh and Kobe.
Yeah, but here's
together,
hold on, I'm not done yet. That puts them, let's just say that happens this year.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes them a playoff team. Doesn't make them a contender. Okay. Doesn't make them, you know, a challenger. It also doesn't make them relevant. But what it does do is now, in my opinion, you know, you're right. But that's still some other things. That means Modest takes the next step. Okay. However you want to look at it, Io can stay healthy throughout the whole season. All right. Lonzo comes back and can play 18 to 20 minutes a game. But what are we talking about now? We're talking about guards, perimeter guys. We need to now be able to pick somebody that can stop somebody. We don't have that guy on defense. You traded that guy to get this guy. And I unfortunately think that he even said today in the press conference, which I love the fact that he's, you know, looking within. I don't think he used the exact words, I'm never going to be a great defender. He just said, I'm only going to get to a certain level. Okay. So now who is that guy on this roster, which I don't think they have yet? Io could be that guy that is now Davion Mitchell. Who is that guy? Io is that guy. But at the same time now, who is that guy on the back end?
Well, and look, Sam Smith asked AK about the defense problem today, and AK basically said, well, you know, we made some small strides down the stretch of the season, but you can't solve every problem at once. That was his answer. We got to knock out another ad break. When we come back, I want to get to some more things that AK had to say today, because he had a lot to say, and well, I'm sure Bulls fans have some feelings about it. Hit that like button if you're hanging out with us on YouTube. If you haven't done it yet, do it for Katie. She needs the likes, y'all. Today's show brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 win or lose. So sign up and use that promo code CHGO365 when you do. Put $10 in your account, take half of that $10 and make a bet on the final play-in tournament games we got lined up tomorrow night. And whether or not that bet hits, you're going to see that $150 in bonus bets hit your account either way when that bet concludes. Plus, with all this NBA playoff action we got coming up, take advantage of those early payout offers. With the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So download that app, and again, be sure to remember that promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Those bonus bets you're going to get for signing up with that promo code, you can use them on just about everything. Spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. So what are you waiting for? Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and older if you or someone you know has a gambling problem. Crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
Well, Gottlieb, what time is it?
Game time. Hoot.
He was ready. He was ready.
Try to catch me off guard.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Can't do it.
Shoot. Game time picks makes getting tickets easier than ever to see your favorite teams play live. Game time picks, it filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. How do they do that? Curation. It makes it easier than ever to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever. One-man show, one-woman show. Save some money with Game Time. Of course, they got that all-in price. And of course, they got that lowest price guarantee. Of course, they got that Game Time ticket coverage, which comes with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. But you know they got the Big Dave, Matt Peck, and now Will Perdue favorite, the seat views. We got to see where you're stretching out the dogs. Will needs to know where the bathroom is. Matt needs to know where the beer is. I want to know where the exit is. All those things are important. You can see them all with the seat views on Game Time. Yes, Will Perdue.
Coke just wants to know where the fire exit is, just in case.
That does sound like Coke. To be real with you, you're right.
Just in case.
Safety first. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. I said CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Because we're Purdue. What time is it?
Summertime.
That's right. Roll along CHGO Bulls post-game. No, not post-game. CHGO Bulls podcast. Last night was post-game. Now we're just breaking down the season-ending press conference. Woo! All right. So, look, AK mentioned the thing about like, okay, here were the steps we took this season. This is what we have lined up for the offseason, free agency and the draft, obviously. But then he also just threw in that little cherry about their financial flexibility next summer. And then our guy Darnell Mayberry, shout out to Darnell, took that answer and was like, okay, so if you're talking about 2026 summer, you're asking Bulls fans to have a little patience here, AK, aren't you? And AK's response to that was thus. Katie, if you please.
Well, I'm asking for fans of patience because we're in the first year of that transition. You know, I thought that the way we finished the year shows some promise. It's hard to win games in this league and to finish 15-5. Yeah, it's not a victory lap, but I think there's some positives. And I think we got to keep on building on this group by adding another player in the lottery, by going to free agency and adding another piece. And obviously, going in the summer, that's when the players get better. So hopefully our young group will focus this summer on getting better and come back so we can make another jump next year.
Well, first of all, no one instills more confidence in me as a sports fan than just the riveting motivational words of that man right there.
Run through a wall.
My God. I am ready to run through several walls, Dave.
What?
Also, who had 15-5 on their AK press conference bingo card?
It's the new 14-9.
Yes, it's the new 14-9.
Yes.
Even more impressive.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not a victory lap, but
like
dot. Let me take this victory lap right quick.
Just a little one.
It's kind of like a NASCAR driver saying, I would have run this race if I didn't run out of gas.
Yeah. I mean, go. What do you make of that? In that, like, yes, that is the way they finished. But you and several of your fellow beat members kind of said to AK, okay, but to what end? You went 15-5 in these months where yes, your young guys play better. We all know what the level of competition they beat was. Well, I mean, this, and when that's the answer to why should Bulls fans be patient with you, how much longer you want, man? Like, that's how I feel right now.
Uh-huh.
You said just you wait after bragging about finishing the season 14-9.
Uh-huh.
And then what? And then what? And then what happened? Like, this dude drives me crazy.
Insane. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you guys are coming from, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, the expectations for the previous thing not working out led them down this new path of having to transition. And when you transition by acquiring young players with experience as opposed to tearing it down to the studs, bringing in a bunch of draft picks, and like really having a clear blueprint of how you're building moving forward, like, they still are in that transition phase where it is going to take some time. I think AK is not under any illusions about the fact that he has to continue to build this thing, that they're not a finished product. And I can understand why that would be frustrating to some people, but this is still a rebuild, whether they call it a roster transformation or, whatever it is. Like, this is a rebuild, and they're I hesitate to say skipping steps, but they're going about it a different way than the teardown thing. And first of all, I'll just say, like, there isn't a right or wrong way to build a roster. There's ways that you agree with or that you think will work better, or ways that you disagree with that you think won't work as well. And maybe this falls into that second category, but they are turning over the roster. They do have a group of younger players that they're building with. And
I'm sorry, can I just interject really quickly to clarify? You said there's no right or wrong way to build a roster. Do you want to amend that to there's no right or wrong way to build a championship caliber roster? Because if so, I would take issue with that, because I think AK's doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, I think, like I said, there's ways that teams can build through. There's various ways that teams can build. And I'm not going to sit here and say that what Arturas is doing cannot work. I have questions about it. I don't know if it's going to work, but, like, the formula that the Thunder used was not going to work for the Bulls because they didn't make the best trade in the history of the game for, every single Clippers pick plus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, the Bulls aren't in a position where they can do that. So I say all this to say that it is going to take some time as they continue to transition here. And I think the worst thing they can do is try to hurry it up again. That's where they made mistakes last time. When you trade 2 future picks for a 34-year-old or 32, I guess, year old center at the time, and another pick for DeMar DeRozan, who was in his 30s. Like, that's how you set yourself back. And I think they're moving very slowly. I'm not sure it's going to work, but I do think that there are some things that they can do that would really set them back. And trading multiple picks for a fringe all-star would be the way to do that. And so I think the reason why Arturas is saying this is because he knows that they don't have a pathway to getting a superstar right now. They're not going to be able to do it in the draft unless they get incredibly lucky. They are basically, their roster is full. They've got 12 or 13 guys under roster, depending on whether Giddey resigns. And then they've got 2 draft picks. So there's not a way to bring, and they're capped out basically. They're right up against the salary cap. They're not going to be a max free agent player. And so the patience and flexibility that he's talking about, that comes in 2026 when the cap opens up. And I think the only way for them to really get a star right now is either getting really lucky in the draft or signing a free agent in 2026. I'm not sure either of those are going to work, but we won't know until that happens. And so that's why AK is asking for patience.
Well, I think the way you build patience is results. I'll say it like this. There's a very fine line between confidence and arrogance. And on that line are many, many things. And results are one of those things. You know what? I'll use wrestling as an example for this. Will, you'll appreciate this. Ric Flair. Incredibly, you know what I mean? Like, just rich and, boisterous, and you know what I mean, bombastic, and all these things. You know what I mean? Just I'm gonna beat this player. I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna do that. That could be conceived as arrogant, but when he's a 16-time world champion with all the money and all this, it's confidence. When Michael Jordan goes out there and says we're gonna win Game 7, he's built up a cachet of 5 titles to say, okay, that's confidence. Go ahead and leak it in. It sounds arrogant to me when there is nothing behind it. And it sounds arrogant when there aren't any results, when the results are, I've been to the play-in, I've been to the play-in, I've been to the play-in. When you've come out and you've said, just wait, we're going to go ahead and get this straight, we're going to, fix it. And then it's the same thing over and over and over again. That, for me, it's borders on arrogance than it does confidence, and it hurts patience. Because I think Bulls fans are tremendously patient. I mean, the Bulls haven't won a playoff game since,
2022?
Thank you. It's been a while.
The one.
You know what I mean? They haven't won a playoff series since, D Rose.
2015.
And that's a long time. So they have definitely had patience. I don't think they have a problem being patient with the players. I think they have a problem being patient with AK. That's who they don't patience for. Because the young guys, you see Modest. You're like, yeah, okay. Let's see that. We could work on that in the offseason. Cool. That's great. You see Giddey, and they're like, yeah, I like what I saw. Okay, let's see what he does. Yes, they like Kobe. Yes, you like Julian Phillips. You like these guys. But when you constantly telling people, just wait, I got it, don't worry about it, and then you don't got it, how can I continue to give you that kind of patience and that kind of cachet when you've given me bupkis in return? That's the issue I'm having, you know what I'm saying, with that when he says, I need patience, you know what I mean, and give me patience like that. No, bro, like that time is up. Like I think people's patience is run thin on AK. Not the players, they're young, they're developing, we get that. But I think they've run thin on that with AK. That's just how I feel about it.
I mean, I think that's totally fair. I just think that that's not really like the frustration that you're talking about is like not necessarily directed in the right place then, because I mean, AK's doing what everybody wants him to do. It's just not the way that they want him to do it, right? Like he's turning over the roster. He is getting younger players.
Okay. Whoa.
Okay.
Turning over the roster. Are you turning over the roster just to turn over the roster?
No, they were moving on from DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso and
changing their style of play.
Shot profile.
Which, mild accomplishments. Yes, they did do that. Shot profile. They did do that.
Yeah.
But okay, so I agree with the question of just turn over the roster to turn it over, because that was another common theme in questions from you and your fellow B members code of like, okay, you're doing this way. You're trying to shrink this timeline. Here's why you're doing it. You're targeting young players with experience. But like, you're turning over the roster that looks to some to have a ceiling of just another mid roster.
I think that's
with different pieces.
That's the point I'm getting at here, which is,
all right,
you guys are, I understand why people would be frustrated with that give me patience line. I think the real frustration is the trust me part, where he's asking you to have faith in the way that he's building the roster if you disagree with it. And that the results that you're talking about, Dave, that he's shown this year don't match up with that. I think that
not just this year.
Right.
Go ahead.
But just as insofar as they've started to change some of the pieces on the roster, I think they are basically saying, we finished the year 15-5. We had some momentum. We were playing the way we wanted to play. Kobe and Josh were playing well. Like, that's the foundation that we're working with, and we have to continue to build that way. I think the problem is that, as we talked about, they still need a superstar, not an all-star. They had an all-star. They had 2 all-stars. They weren't good enough then. They don't just need an all-star. They need Kobe and Josh to become all-star caliber players, and they need a superstar on top of that. And I think the issue is that they have made it harder and harder on themselves to be able to find that guy. And so what he's saying is, I don't have the ability to get one this summer. We are probably not going to move up in the draft, and we don't have any cap space. So the patience thing is, we'll try again next summer. And we'll continue to see how these guys progress throughout the year up until that point.
You know who's got plenty of patience? AK's bosses. We got to knock out one more quick ad break. Then we'll come back. A few more thoughts from AK and a few more of our thoughts on those thoughts. How do we get out of mediocrity and his thoughts on integrity and how you build winners. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Today's show brought to you by Empire Today. Floors, Dave?
Floors.
No matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Empire does, y'all. Just like your favorite team needs home court advantage, whoopsie daisy Bulls didn't work out for you. You need home floor advantage.
See what he did there?
And Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've probably all been to those big box stores. We don't like them. We wander around endlessly. Lots of aisles, very few human beings to help you. Maybe you find somebody who will volunteer to help you, but they probably don't know. You know, it's like Ron Swanson when he's in the hardware store and he's like, oh, can I help you with a project you're working on? And he's like, I know more than you. That's probably what you're going to find when you go to one of those big box stores because you're not a flooring expert, but they probably don't actually have any flooring experts there. Empire, flooring is all they do. They will have those experts on their team help you every step of the way. It's because they live and breathe flooring, and they will make that flooring project for you a completely different ball game and a much easier ball game to win. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home instead of you having to go play a road game. Pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture in your house, all of your decor. It is a great way to do it. Get precise measurements taken and have all your questions answered so there are no surprises. With Empire, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as next day. Who likes waiting? Not me. Not Bulls fans. So, schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount. You heard that correctly. When you use promo code CHGO. That's right, $350 discount with promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire Today/CHGO for details. 588-2300. Just kidding, Katie.
Pass it back because she on a microphone. Empire
Today.
Boom. I thought she might because she doesn't have a microphone. Yeah. But no, she passed it right back to you.
You know what I also just noticed?
What's that?
Still no applause.
No?
But I always clap, Dave. Still no applause.
I always clap. Oh, did you hear the sarcasm in that clap right there?
Did it? Oh. From thousands of miles.
Laid on thick.
Oh, man. Ray Chevy, ladies and gentlemen.
Ray.
Oh, we're spring cleaning at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. Come in and get fresh savings during our spring clearance sales event, like 0% financing for 60 months, $0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, plus 0 hidden fees on select new Chevy models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest inventories, you're sure to find that perfect vehicle for yourself. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know that you will get a great deal. Plus, Ray's Price Promise lets you shop confidently because a guarantee of no add-ons, no hidden fees, no gimmicks, no woozies, and for the love of Will Gottlieb, no wazies ever means the price that you see is the price that you're going to pay. You don't have to worry about price changing, stressful negotiations, or any tricks. The people at Ray Chevrolet just want to help you get into the right vehicle at the right price. It's just that simple. So see it for yourself. Visit our partners at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their spring clearance sales event going on all month long. For 0% financing on select new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. That's how I drive right there.
That's
how I drive.
That's your pantomime driving.
Yeah.
You're gonna get pulled over because that's some pretty swervy driving.
That is, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm still secure. Right.
You
there.
might want to get your steering checked.
Yep. I wanted to respond to you about AK and the patience thing. I think like him saying, and I understand that he was talking about going into next year. You know what I mean? Having say like we won't be able to do it this year. I think he kind of mentioned that before. You know what I'm saying? That he was more focused on next year, and that's when they would do their thing and get their players and all that. I'm saying when you ask for patience and there's nothing behind you, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't give me confidence in what you're talking about. Give me patience when you've continually, failed. You know what I'm saying? At what you're trying to do and what you're trying to provide. And so that's why I mean when I say, well, I lose patience with you when you do that. So I get that he wants people to wait. And yes, understand it's 2026. You want people to, get it together then. But I have no confidence in what I've seen previously to allow me to grant you the patience in my heart and in my mind that I probably would give to anybody because of what I've seen you do. It would just make me feel like a fool, you know what I'm saying, to keep giving that to you when you keep throwing it out the window. So that, and then also when you came in, kind of with the tough talk, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, just see what I do this time. You know what I mean? Oh, we gonna get this, we gonna get that. All that stuff kind of builds up. So when you kind of get to this point, when you're asking for more, I'm like, man, I don't know how much more I can really give you. But I have no choice, you know what I mean? Because he's going to be here. So I have no choice but to sit and watch. But I just didn't like that you're asking me for something I don't feel that you've earned yet.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. Like, I don't think that you're wrong to feel that way. My point is, I think what he's really asking for is time because there's not much he can do right now.
Yeah.
And the fact that they ended up with the same outcome is not necessarily the same because they had a different process with it. Okay, and again, but I'm not like applauding the process or saying that they've done an incredible job. Yeah. I'm just saying like, this is the reality of the situation. Fans have a right to feel frustrated if they want to. They can feel however they want to feel. I just don't know what they can do right now given their constraints. That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but they created those constraints. It's not like he's cleaning up somebody else's mess.
Well, he's cleaning up his own mess. I mean, he got off of a year of Zach's contract. He got his pick back. And again, like these are the things that he is saying that he accomplished. And you can say, that's not enough. I want more. And that would be justified. But for the checklist that he had this year, my point is, I think he accomplished that. Mm-hmm. My other point is, there's still so much more to do, and it's going to take a while given where they are.
So what did you take from his can't define a timeline answer?
I think it's back to and it's the same thing with the 9 to 10 very good players. When you have no pathway to getting a star player, the only thing that you can do is justify however you can the fact that you don't have one, right? It's like we have no cap flexibility. We can't sign a guy. We aren't going to have a high draft pick. We can't draft the guy. We are probably not going to be looking to trade all of our future first-round picks for a guy. Those are the 3 ways you get a star. So if you're not willing to or you can't do any of those things, you have to find ways to tell your fans that you're onto something even though you can't get that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, but my last question, sorry, Matt.
No worries. You're good.
Do you trust this front office to get you where they need to be?
No, but I think what's interesting about it is, and I would be curious to hear what you guys have to say about this. Like, does that change if they had won last night and on Friday night and made the playoffs? And I think for Matt, obviously not, but maybe for other people.
Does what change?
Does that level of trust? Let's say they get into a first round.
Confidence in that.
Yeah, let's say they get into a first round series and they lose in 4, but they're competitive games and Giddey looks good. Like, I think that warrants more trust in them. But that's an outcome-based thing, right? Like, they did not play well last night. They got their butts kicked. They did not play their style. Giddey, in a lot of ways, got exposed. Kobe, in a lot of ways, got exposed. Like, that's good information to have, but it doesn't give you any more trust in the process. And I think that's the problem.
That's why I think we would have accomplished nothing as fans and they as a franchise by going to get your butts kicked by the Cavs. Because Perdue, you said last night, somebody who's played in a lot of NBA playoff games back in the day.
Flex.
I've seen in all the basketball that you've participated in and watched, teams' weaknesses get exposed in the playoffs, right? That's what you said. You said, I have rarely seen all of your flaws and weaknesses get exposed defiantly and singularly in one game, the way the Heat exposed the Bulls last night. So what do you gain? Or what amount of trust or patience or belief as a fan should you gain had they found a way to beat Miami and then found a way to beat Atlanta and then gone to Cleveland to watch that happen? To me, there is no difference in those two outcomes.
It's a blessing that they did not get to Cleveland.
Boom. I agree.
Because as simple as it is, that was the Miami Heat last night.
Yeah.
And the Miami Heat finished in what position in the Eastern Conference?
10th.
So then
Take that.
You beat Miami. Then you beat Atlanta. Then you get the best team maybe in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's questionable. You can go back and forth between OKC and them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Certainly the best team in your conference.
And now that I've said that, if they face up against Boston, I would probably still take Boston just from an experience standpoint, because it's just Cleveland always seems to somehow shoot themselves in the foot. But we could see something between now and the time they play Boston to change that.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
But why would then, I think that AK and this organization saved themselves, because now they just have to answer questions for one game. If they beat Miami and beat Atlanta, they would have to answer to 4 games. Okay? Because what we can do now is let's go back and talk about that Milwaukee playoff series.
Okay.
All right? We're now talking about a team that basically got bored. Okay? They had no fear whatsoever that they were going to win that series. What they didn't do was take the seriousness of just winning in 4 games and being done.
You talking about the Bucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? They slipped up and let a game go, knowing that, hey, even if we lose, they're up 3-0, even if we lose this game, we'll win the next one. It's all good. But you're playing with fire. Fortunately for them, they didn't get burned. The one thing I've noticed about Cleveland throughout the whole year, they're in the position they are in because of the seriousness of which they're playing with on any given night. Yeah, they've hit a couple lulls, and those lulls have probably been more so mental than physical, because it's just difficult to play that hard at that level so many nights in a row. And that's why they're a 7-game series, not a 1, so that if you do basically lay an egg, you can recover. But I fully believe that Cleveland would have been locked in. They would have been playing with a sense of urgency, and they had no interest in playing with fire, and would have deposited the Bulls in 4 games.
I agree, because when you look back to the most recent Bulls-Cavs matchup of the regular season, which wasn't that long ago, Bulls fans were watching that game and were like, yo, we're playing the Cavs even.
Yeah.
3.5 quarters they played them even. It was a tie game at a 7-minute mark timeout of the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
And then what happened? The Cavs looked at the scoreboard, realized they were tied, stopped dicking around, and then proceeded to beat the Bulls by 22 over the last 7 minutes of the game. So, again, what would you have learned or accomplished by going to play the Cavs 4 times?
Well,
in my opinion, nothing.
It's kind of like they would have, as I said, I've never seen a singular game, where somebody exposed everybody's weakness, an opponent's weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It would kind of almost be like a boxer. And you know what? I'm not going to knock this guy out. What I'm going to do is embarrass him for 10 rounds. And so I'm going to work on the body for a while for one, because he keeps his hands, and then I'm going to go to the face. And then just when I think he's about to fall, I'm going to pull back. And you're like, why are you doing that, bro? Because I want to embarrass this guy. Okay. But my point is that Miami came in for the kill.
Mm-hmm.
They smelled blood. And why the Bulls didn't, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because they just, Giddey said it in his post-game interview. They just weren't ready.
Yeah.
So my question is, why were they not ready?
On that note, that's going to do it for those of you watching our streaming services who want the bonus coverage. We'll go a little bit longer. Just head over to allchgo.com. Dave, why do you think they weren't ready?
Oh, God.
Because there's some overconfidence. You beat this team 3 times.
I thought it definitely was some overconfidence for sure. From the guys, like, they kind of felt like, well, we played them those 3 times. It's exactly what we're going to get. But for me, Matt, that's where I push back because I like going to the playoffs.
Right. I know you do.
And I feel like there's always something to gain. So if they get their ass whooped, and they definitely were going to get their ass whooped against Cleveland. If you go out there, but it's something for me, it's also how you lost. So if they get in their whoop, they go 4-0, but I'm watching Kobe White drop 40. That's valuable experience. You know what I'm saying, for Kobe White.
Big Chief in the comments, experience is powerful.
Yeah, it is. Like, he knows what to do. That means you don't come into a play-in game the next time with that kind of attitude of what we did in the regular season was good enough against this team. You already have a mentality now of what it takes to take yourself to another level and try to play at your best. That's what you gain and kind of learn when you go to the playoffs and get beat on. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you really do kind of learn that. So there's always something I feel to gain, especially for younger guys, maybe definitely not for like older guys, really, not Vooch. Like,
no,
it's nothing to learn, you know what I'm saying, in that situation. But Giddey, Kobe, and Modest, seeing them get that experience, having that, kind of in their pocket and like, okay, well, now this is the bar. Because for right now, the bar is the play-in. You know what I'm saying? Like, the bar should never be that. The bar should definitely be the playoffs. But I think you earn that stuff and you learn that stuff when you go to the playoffs, man. And again, I agree, the results would have been the same. We know what would have happened. It would have went down. But if those guys actually were able to do something and thrive and, you know what I'm saying, in that kind of situation, I feel that's valuable.
I also think that, like, there's a difference between making or not making the playoffs as, like, the 13th worst team in the league where you have a 1% chance to move up versus the 8th or 9th worst. And I think, like, it's not like if you're evaluating the decision or like whether it's worth it to have won last night and on Friday night to make it, that's not the same thing as evaluating whether it was worth it on February 5th when they were 8 games below 500 or on March 6th when they were 14. You know what I'm saying? Those are different evaluations. And I think over the course of the season, you can have problems with individual decisions that led to other outcomes and then have problems with the decisions that were made based on that. Mm-hmm. And you can go all the way back to whatever. I mean, you could go back to the Jimmy Butler trade and you could do it since then. You could go back to the Caruso trade and do it since then. There's always going to be problems with all that. But like from where they were in that game, I don't think winning would have been a bad thing because the experience at that point versus the cost to me was negligible. Like, it was better to have that experience than have an additional 1% chance to move up. And that would not have been the same thing 2 months ago when it was a 7 or 9% chance or whatever it was. Did you see our guy Strick in the comments a second ago?
I'm leaving it alone because I was definitely in his DMs yesterday. Just having a conversation.
Our guy Strick, CHGO diehard, ride or die, was hanging out with us at our watch party at Hooters a few weeks ago, trying to convince us, even as we were walking out on the street corner, would not give up. Say, hey, Bulls can give the Cavs a fight. Yeah, didn't he even say?
No, he said they were going to win.
They could win that series.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get there. Love you, Strick. We are just about out of time, but you know, Katie, I know that there's 1 or 2 more AKs that we didn't even get to. Just dealer's choice. Throw me one more so I can laugh at it, please. Take your pick. 3 through 5. Dave wants 4. Number 4. Speak to us,
Well,
AK.
I do believe in, the way we wanted to build this roster is basically having players that have experience to kind of shrink the timeline and continuously, look for other ways to improve your roster. And I truly believe, I think Billy spoke before and after every game about how important it is for this young group to focus on winning and what goes into winning instead of just rolling the, ball out and, tell them to go and develop, So this is very important for us, and, that's the path we chose,
Winning and
he sounds so confident in the path he chose.
Yeah.
JK, he doesn't sound confident or convincing at all.
I don't know.
What goes into winning? We heard that a lot in a lot of different variations from AK all season.
Sure.
Can someone tell this dude that what goes into NBA winning is star players. How are Bulls fans the one that have to yell that in his direction? And that, to me, brief soapbox. A lot of people in the comments saying, like, yo, fire Billy. A lot of others saying, like, yo, fire AK. Like, none of this is working. None of this is making sense. I agree with all of you. Billy's not the best coach in the league. Far from it. He got exposed last night. Again, by the same head coach who's exposed him thrice in the play-in tournament in 3 years. AK came in at 30 out of 30 in a recent poll of NBA front offices and how good they are at their jobs. Why are they allowed to be? That's my point, and it's always been my point. That UC was rocking last night. If you were there, hope you had fun until, the Heat proceeded to stomp their asses. Why are they allowed to be bad at their jobs? Because the people who are the tippy-top bosses don't care, because they looked around a packed madhouse last night and said, job well done, everybody. They don't care about winning. So why should they enforce their employees' lack of winning? It's never been about winning. It will never be about winning until other people come in and take this team and say, hey, let's win. Sick of this crap.
I knew it was coming. Burks be damned. That was built up. Exhale.
Just ridiculous job security.
No, wait a minute. Where was the guy that had the smile on his face when we started this show?
Why did you
believe? There's inhale and exhale. Yeah. There's a lot of different.
You weren't hearing him when he said that. I heard him loud and clear. I've been doing this for a while with him. I know these things. When he said inhale, I'm like, hold on. There are two parts to that.
So wait a minute. How many personalities do you have?
No, honestly, just like 3.
All right, so let me wrap.
Angry Bulls fan, slightly less angry Bulls fan, and then the rest of my life.
Again, I've seen happy Bulls fans.
Of which I am a very happy dude. When I'm not talking about this team, I am a happy-go-lucky guy.
So let's just put a bow on this for a second.
Let's do.
All right. Number 1, what he's saying is correct. That AK, without admitting, it's kind of like, what's the meme? Tell me you're from Chicago without telling me you're from Chicago. It's kind of like he's admitting that he made a mistake without admitting that he made a mistake. Okay? Mm-hmm. They doubled and tripled down on the big 3. It didn't work. So he's had to get himself out of that. So it's kind of like 2 steps back and 1 step forward. Mm-hmm. But we're still having to take steps back. We're only 1 step back. We still have to take a step back.
They won the same amount of games as they did last year.
Okay, but he's still getting himself out of the corner that he painted himself into.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now he's asking the fans for patience. But also because now he's having to go backwards, he's letting you know that there's no timeline because he doesn't know how long it's going to take him to get to where they need to be. Okay? So how much patience do you have? So I understand what he's saying about he understands where AK's coming from.
Yeah, I do. Completely get it.
What I don't know is, and according to him, we'll find out in the next 2 months, is, right? Next 2 months, we'll see how we can improve the roster. Does he truly believe in this 8, 9, 10 really good players theory? And does he believe that because he knows he can't get a star player anytime soon, either through the draft because they're never going to be bad enough to be able to get in that position, or that he doesn't feel like that the assets that he has is good enough to move up in the draft, or that they can't convince a star player to come here, but then we won't know that until next summer because that's when they're targeting the summer of 26 because they have financial flexibility.
I got a question for Go, but it's a long question, so I'll ask you off.
I think that
we can do it,
Dave. Matt. It's all those questions are relevant. What we don't have is answers, and what we were hoping to get today was some answers.
I think Bulls fans who were hoping for answers they found to be satisfactory answers today have not been paying very close attention, because every time this dude talks, I feel less and less confident as a Bulls fan that this team is heading in any, not just the right direction, any direction.
Yeah.
We won't accept mediocrity as he barrels towards it with 2 fistfuls of enthusiasm for mediocrity. They're not going anywhere. It's a circle, y'all. Just round and round we go.
I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens this summer. We talked about like the roster being kind of in its almost full form, right? Like 12 guys under contract. You bring back Giddey, that's 13. You have 2 draft picks. THT and Trey Jones are free agents. That's it. But like, are there moves that they make that maybe are still a slight step backwards to bring in another asset, whether it's Alonzo Ball trade or a Vooch trade, where you do get a little bit worse. Maybe you pick up a 2nd round pick or a late first or something. And you can use that moving forward, because it's so difficult to build with just what you have. Like, you do need to accumulate additional things, and they haven't done that. And I think they'll have opportunities, as they had at the deadline, to move on from some of those more veteran players, but will they take that opportunity? I think that will tell us a lot about their willingness to continue to build, as opposed to, we just need to compete every day. Because those can be the same thing, but they can also be different things.
Thanks for saying, because that's kind of what I was going to ask you. You just answered it. So, yeah, right
on. We are out of time. Pass up, unfortunately. We will be back here tomorrow. We can continue breaking this down. Plus, we barely we scratched the surface of what we heard from some of the Bulls players at their exit interviews today. We can talk about that more tomorrow at length as well. In the meantime, read GOAT stuff. Will_Gottlieb is where you can follow him. AllCHGO.com is where you can read his stuff. Become a diehard, which, by the way, we got a sale going on right now. Become a CHGO diehard. Take advantage of it. On top of all of GOAT's great Bulls writing and coverage, that NFL draft analysis from our Barracks crew. Also, it is that time. Sign up to become a diehard. Follow Uncle Will, 4-time NBA champion, Will_Perdue 32. Big days at Bow, BWO Sports on Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Our queen of the controls is the one and only Katie Duffy. Big Dave, happy trails. You want to plug real quick where you're heading?
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow, going to Las Vegas,
baby,
to cover WrestleMania with Perdue.
Yeah,
so I'll be there to cover WrestleMania. Myself, my guy Greg Boyson.
What up, Greg?
For CHGO Wrestling.
Are you going to end up in the ring?
We'll see. We'll see what Perdue. I mean, anything can happen.
Gosh.
Maybe not the WWE ring, but it's going to be a lot going on.
I just want to see Dave come running out of nowhere with tights on. The boots up to your knees.
Oh, Big Dave.
Jump underneath the bottom rope, slide,
elite.
jump up on your knees, and then give that Patrick Williams roar.
Oh, there's a few people that have that same fantasy.
I didn't know I had it until just now when Perdue said it. We need Big Dave the wrestler. What do you know? Have you ever given thought to what your character would be if you were a professional wrestler?
I mean, it's always just been Big Dave. Like, I don't think it's anything different.
Would you paint your face?
I have Katie as my manager.
Would you wear a mask?
No. I said I have Katie as my manager.
Is manager the same as like hype man? Like, would she be the one like announcing you, like strutting down?
She'll
like,
be strutting, like leading me down. You know what I mean, and also helping me out. You know what I mean, when you're in the ring. Mm-hmm. No, the dirty stuff.
I have a question about where I fit into all this, but I'll ask you after.
Referee.
I also was curious about that. All right, y'all. We will be back tomorrow for our last show of the week, 5:30 Central Time. Hit that like button on your way out. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We will talk to you some more tomorrow. Everybody, deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. We made it. See you again. Peace.
I need some sunny side.
We all silly like the mayor.